y'all, I'm Kitty, and welcome to a chilling journey through the heart of New England on mine. Missing, murdered, unidentified in New England. Join me as we delve deep into the enigmatic cases that have haunted the corners of Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Buckle up, because in each episode, we'll time travel through the decade from January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2020. Some stories will keep you on the edge of your seat for longer, while others will offer quick, tantalizing glimpses into these mysterious tales. The truth is, these cases often shroud themselves in secrecy, leaving us with only fragments to piece together. As we embark on this haunting journey, remember that all the research, storytelling, opinions, and even my inevitable blunders are mine alone. I promise to keep you in the loop with updates and corrections whenever possible. And while we won't issue trigger warnings for the wounds that are a crucial part of these narratives, we will do so when it comes to sensitive topics like suicide, animal loss, and domestic violence. So, stay tuned, stay curious, and let's uncover the untold stories of New England together. Now with that, please listen in as I tell you about May 2013. May 23, 2013. Lloyd Powell was born on January 20th, 1990 in Boston, Mass. to Sophia Barnes and Lloyd Powell. Lloyd had 4 siblings named Eric, Sean, Harchulina, and Shamakia, and was an uncle to at least one child. In 2007, at age 17, Lloyd was charged and arrested with receiving a stolen motor vehicle after officers noticed a funky-looking window on the car. When checking tags, officers discovered that the vehicle they were looking at was stolen. Lloyd tried to flee from police on foot without success. At age 23, someone killed Lloyd via gunshot wounds at 125 Elm Hill Ave, Roxbury, Mass. at 8:15 p.m. on May 23, 2013. Lloyd was taken to Boston Medical Center where he succumbed to his wounds. Please call 1-800-494-TIPS with any information. May 24th, 2013. He was a beautiful soul. I don't want him remembered this way. He was a bit of a loner, but a sweet man. He had been a vibrant sailor, craftsman, and real estate person. Born in Nova Scotia, John Francis Deveau was raised in San Diego, California, after moving down south due to his father's ailing health that was affected by cold and humidity. John was a cool guy by all accounts. A charter boat captain out of Hilton Head, South Carolina, when he was younger, which is where he met his lifelong friend, former girlfriend, and eventually ex-wife, Mindy Miller-Berg. The pair dated for a while, marrying, moved to Colorado, eventually divorcing and losing touch, but never losing love. John's true love, though, was the ocean. John once landed a government contract through Yale University. John once drove his car off a cliff in Nova Scotia, suffering injuries and likely brain damage. John was extremely private. John had light brown hair and was balding and had a light brown mustache and brown eyes. John was 5'1", 170 pounds, and was last seen wearing a dark hat with light lettering, and was 61 when last seen alive on May 24th or May 26th, 2013, pumping gas in Branford. On May 29th, a visiting nurse noticed that John wasn't home. A welfare check was called in, but there was no sign of John. John's last phone call was to Wells Fargo Bank. A silver alert was issued for John due to his cognitive circumstances. The suspect in this case, Thomas Chester Malinka, has ties to the Bristol, Connecticut, and New Britain, Massachusetts areas. Thomas was known to John and was the last known person to see John alive. Thomas claimed that John was an alcoholic, and maybe he was drinking and walking and fell into a nearby river. Thomas is a garbage person who once purse snatched from a woman who had had a C-section only 6 days prior. Trigger warning. This woman was dragged 40 feet by Thomas's vehicle, and her sutures burst open from this incident. She was okay, aside from the sutures. Thomas frequently tried to get John to sell part of his property, to which John said no, and the pair of men often argued. John was the victim of larceny, totaling over $30,000 due to the actions of Thomas's manipulations. Thomas also tried to take out a life insurance policy on John, but to no avail. Thomas is a known heroin user, and was found to be violating his parole by using again. That does not make him a garbage person. Addiction sucks. If you or someone you know has an issue with drugs or alcohol, there is help. Call SAMHSA's National Hotline. It's a free, confidential, 24/7, 365-day-a-year treatment referral and information service, in English and Spanish, for individuals and families facing mental health and/or substance use disorders. You're human, and there is no shame in seeking help. You deserve more than your addiction can give you. Call 1-800-662-4357 for assistance. Thomas referred to John in the past tense when John first went missing out of Branford, Connecticut. Shortly after John vanished, Thomas was seen taking a bag down to the creek out back his house and returning without the bag. Weeks after John first disappeared, Thomas was arrested for breaking and entering into John's house and for stealing his pain medications. John's personal effects, like his debit card, was found in the engine compartment of Thomas's car and were found to be in Thomas's possession. It turns out that Thomas had used John's debit card several times after John was last seen. And about a year after John was initially reported, Thomas, the main suspect of the case, was arrested and charged with John's murder due to blood evidence tying Thomas to John's disappearance. John's blood was discovered in Thomas's car by the investigators on one of Thomas's garden hoses and an extension cord. Thomas lied about his alibi during the time frame in which John vanished. Thomas was sentenced to 12 years in prison and 3 years probation for the murder and dismemberment of John. Oh, wait, those charges were dropped. No body, known crime cases are generally hard to prosecute, so in return for leading them to John's remains, Thomas was only charged with first-degree larceny and tampering with evidence. Thomas brought investigators to multiple locations where he dumped John's body, but only half of John's remains were recovered. Thomas is in prison right now, and the original bail was set for $1.1 million, but was reduced to $950,000. $900,000 for murder, and $50,000 each for burglary. This was done to allow Thomas to utilize the prison library, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to due to a law regarding the bail being set for over $1 million. Please call 1-203-481-4241 if you find any additional remains in the Branford, Connecticut area. May 28, 2013. Danny Rodriguez, was the son of Norma and Reynaldo, and was the brother to Jose, Reynaldo, Maria, Marilyn, Migdalia, Jose, and Felix. Daniel was roughly 35 and lived at 354 Hampden Street, Holyoke, Mass. At 5:30 p.m. on May 28, 2013, 2 suspects riding a motorized scooter were witnessed riding to the scene, shooting Daniel at 104 to 106 Bliss Street, Holyoke, and riding away on Beech Street. The suspects were wearing motorcycle helmets and hooded sweatshirts. Daniel is buried in Oak Grove Cemetery. Please call 1-413-322-6900 with any information. If you have any questions, complaints, or concerns about the podcast you encountered here today, please message me at minepodcast@gmail.com. That's mine with 2 M's, 2 I's, 1 N, 1 E at gmail.com. And thank you so much for listening. Later, y'all.